Filing a police report after a car accident in Colorado. Hi, I'm attorney Christopher Nicolaysen, the owner and CEO of Springs Law Group, and today I want to talk about filing a police report after a car accident in Colorado. It's just really important, and there's going to be some important steps here that I want you to listen to, because sometimes you may think, I don't actually need to call the police or file a report, but the reality is you actually might need to. So first I want to talk about the importance of the police report itself. Here's the reality is, you're injured in a crash. So you're sitting there at a stop sign and you get rear-ended. You didn't do anything wrong, so you have a point of view. But then also the person that hit you has a point of view as well too. You go about and do the right thing and you take photos and you get information and exchange information with the at-fault driver, but you feel injured as well. So then you have a duty to actually call the police at that point and have them come out. And the good thing about having the police come out now is you're getting a record, the police report, of a neutral third party who is going to take your information and statement and also is going to take the information of the at-fault driver and take their statement as well too. So the other thing too that they're going to do is they're going to take a description and walkthrough of the entire scene as they see it, and do a damage assessment as well too of the vehicles. And so those can be very helpful. So months down the road, when you're either looking at filing a lawsuit or trying to settle your case, it can be really important to have that police report as a third party neutral recommendation, and vision of what happened without any bias or anything like that as well. So it's really important to call the police out during that time. Also too, if you're in the state of Colorado and you're in a car accident and you're injured, there's a death occurred, a wrongful death, then you actually have a legal obligation to call the police. So you and the other person can't just unilaterally decide or mutually agree that, hey, I don't want to call the police because we just don't want them involved. We did a handshake deal. Don't do that. If we have injuries from a car crash, you have a legal obligation to call the police. And then what they'll do is get that information. They'll ultimately make a report right then. You don't actually have to file a report because the police will be the ones making the report at that point in time as well. So the information too that the police are taking, it's going to be, the information of the scene of the crash itself. It's going to be the information of each of the parties, the injured party, yourself, and the at-fault party, the person who hit you. But it's also important for you to document as well. You want to document everything too, just like you normally would, which is to take photos of the scene of the crash, take photos of the vehicles, any skid marks on the road names, so that you have an intersection area as well. Jot down what the weather was like. If the person that hit you is saying, I'm sorry, make sure you jot that down so you have clear recollection of what they were saying at that point in time too. And so it's really important that you have your own recollection so that you can compare it to the police report and what the police wrote down at that point in time too. So now the question is how do you actually file the police report? Well, the easiest way to do it is if you're injured in a car accident and then you call 911 or the non-emergency number to get the police to come to the scene of the crash, because like I said, they'll ultimately do the majority of the work and write up the report right then and there. You don't actually have to go anywhere and fill it out or what have you. So then the next way too that you can do it is if it's an emergency situation, the police are not responding to crashes at that point in time, or you just forgot and didn't call the police to come to the scene of the crash, you can actually go and fill out an online report, an online police report. And so I think that's important to understand that you can and should do that, but it doesn't carry as much weight as the police actually coming out to the scene. So when the police actually come out to the scene, they get the information from you, the injured person, and the other side in a totality of a full report. Here, if you file one online, it's just your own personal recollection of everything that happened. And so it doesn't carry nearly as much weight, but again, something is better than nothing in that case. So the information that you want to include in the police report when you're filling it out, or if you're talking to a police officer, is you want to be very factual in the entire process. You want to make sure that you give them your name and contact information. You want to make sure then too that the defendant has that information correct too. You want to make sure too that they understand which vehicle is yours, which one is the other party's, and then also any serious injury that you have. You want to also make sure that they know and that you have the information for any of the witnesses that were there and saw the actual event happen. And so it's important that the police can also take witness statements as well that could help, corroborate your own story of the event that happened and unfolded. The one thing to not do though too, as you're giving that information out there, is to exaggerate. You don't want to exaggerate the situation. You want to just be very factual and to the point, very data and fact driven. This is not drama, it's not prose, anything like that on this police report. You want to just be factual and to the point is one thing that we stress quite a bit. After you file the police report, one of the things you want to do though is ask the people at the police station or ask the officer if they're out at the scene, how exactly then can I get a copy of this police report? Because as a party, you are entitled to a copy, to get a copy, and I would walk through the process with them or ask the people how, when you're filing, exactly what can you do to obtain a copy yourself so that you have that for your records. It's important. Don't just have a police report done and then never actually get a copy of it. That doesn't make any sense. Again, information is power, so the more information you have, the more powerful you can be in making your decisions. So just make sure too that you've got that information, of the police report and how to obtain it as you're there filing it at a station or at the scene of the crash itself. So one thing we like to do with a police report is we actually like to use that walkthrough of the description of the police officer of the crash, a lot of times when we're explaining it to the other side and trying to work a settlement. And so it can have a lot of valuable information on what the damages to the vehicles were, on what the weather was like that day. So we've used that as kind of a nice snapshot too to help us transport ourselves back in time and give the other side kind of a snapshot of what the day and the event itself was like. So we want to make sure too that we use that information as much as possible from the police report to help relay good, solid, sound information within our negotiations as well. So if you do have a police report or haven't gotten one yet, I would recommend reaching out to a legal professional that handles personal injury cases. At Springs Law Group, we consult and look at and review police reports often. We get body-worn camera footage from the police officers often, and we use those. We use those to help make decisions, to take a look at facts of the case, and sometimes we even dispute them because the information they had is not correct. So we want to use those though to help a gambit of information. And so I do think it's important that if you have questions in regards to it, that you reach out to a legal professional, a personal injury attorney, and make sure that they can help guide you through the proper uses of a police report here in the state of Colorado. So the police reports themselves can have a ton of value. And it's just really important that you understand that if you're injured in a crash, you must call the police in the state of Colorado. Call 911 or a non-emergency number and have them come out. If you forget or fail to do that, make sure that you go online and file a police report in the county that you're in. It's just really important that you take those extra steps because in the long run, those steps now, today, are going to help you out in the long run. The police report can have a lot of value to it, of information that you can go back and look onto, but it can also be something too that if you're actually being accused of being the driver that caused the crash, you can dispute it. And so there are ways to go about that too. Take that information though too, consult with a legal professional and reach out and get their thoughts on the police report and get through their eyes and what they're seeing. It's just important that you have an injury attorney take a look at it and give you their analysis on what's actually happening with the police report. So again, more information is always power. The police report has a lot of information in it, which then gives you, as the injured party, more power. If you have any questions, feel free and reach out to us at springslawgroup.com, or you can give us a call at 719-300-7554. We're here to help you because we truly believe that you matter.